So my specialty in film was selling pitches. I would go into studios, into very cold rooms with executives who were paid to say no, and I would get them to say yes. And those are very challenging sales. And I spoke to some friends who are in real estate, not in LA, one in my college roommate in Miami, a friend in New York. They both said, just get your real estate license, like you'd be good at it. And so I figured it can't be harder. There's no way it's harder. You're selling a necessity. People have to live somewhere.
Before we start, a few quick words from the people who make the show possible, which is a fancy way of saying they pay for the microphone. Sphere is the CRM that I had a hand in creating and is the one I actually use. It's the reason I'm not rediscovering a hot lead from March in a text thread in November. Title teams, Title Sphere does the same job on your side of the table and is the only system integrated with SoftPro and other platforms you need to get the job done. Go to usesphere.com and titlesphere.io and use discount code OWNIT. Checkmate promo is my go-to for branded stuff people actually keep. Closing gifts, open house swag, team gear that doesn't die in a drawer. Go to checkmatepromo.com, same discount code, own it. 10x Search. Now 10x Search is why my name comes up when somebody asks Chat or Claude who should sell their house in Portland. They'll run a free market visibility audit for you and show you where you actually rank. They only take one per metro, so get to them before your competition does. Go to 10xsearch.com/own it. That's the ad. Let's get into it. Hey, Adam.
How are we looking now?
Looking great. Perfect. Great to see you, man. Thank you so much for going to one of your listings.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, I'm really excited to have you here, man, because you are very interesting. So I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to tell you the research I've done on you, and then you let me know if it's accurate or if there's anything wrong, okay? Adam, thank you so much for being here. I just want to tell everybody who you are, for those that don't know you. Adam Brawer is an authority on the Los Angeles residential real estate market, having called Los Angeles home for the past 2 decades. Adam's knowledge, meticulous attention to detail, and best-in-class client service allows him to offer an exceptional experience when buying or selling property, combining his personal and professional network with a high-level entertainment background. Adam helps clients prepare and market their homes with a Hollywood flair, ensuring each property is uniquely positioned. Offering expert guidance throughout each phase of the process, Adam looks at each sale as a partnership where he and his clients are fully aligned in the outcome. Adam is often praised by clients for selling their properties for above market value in the shortest period of time. Depending on each client's unique circumstances, Adam builds a team around them, ensuring their needs are met. Whether it is ground-up development, renovation consultation, or real estate investment guidance, Adam and his team provide a complete custom service. This service-based approach has led to extraordinary results, as evidenced by his remarkable track record in client loyalty. As a former film producer, Adam believes storytelling is an essential aspect of marketing, so he weaves narratives into every campaign. Known to some as the spiritual realtor, Adam's approach is unique, often employing energy healers and burning sage in homes prior to listing them. When not selling property, Adam is known for his healthy lifestyle, yoga, tennis, hikes, breathwork, cold plunges, and meditation. I can tell you at least 5 clients I have that could use some breathwork right now. Was that an accurate description of what you do?
Very accurate. So you nailed.
So it's very interesting. I'm yet to meet anybody who was a child saying, when I grow up, I want to sell real estate. And we all have our own paths to get there. You have a very interesting one, and I'd love you to share with us.
Yeah. So moved to LA 22 years ago, initially to work at a talent agency, William Morris Agency. I thought I wanted to be a music agent, and quickly realized that being a music agent is not a creative pursuit. It's interesting, but you're routing tours and you're booking dates. You're not in the studio. You're not involved in music making. So anyway, from there, got into TV, first representing showrunners and directors and writers, and then producing some pretty lowbrow reality TV. From there, I transitioned into film, packaging, and producing. And in 2019, I had a series of setbacks, like some pretty, like right at the goal line, in hard prep. I had Amber Heard's next film after Aquaman, and right as we were entering prep, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard divorce scandal erupted, and she got blacklisted. No one would work with her, and that movie died. It was a big bummer. I actually bought that as a pitch and developed it almost into production, but not quite. So lost a bunch of money on that. And I had a couple other. I sold a big package to Harvey Weinstein. We acquired the rights to Chippendales. True story. We had Ben Stiller and Seth Rogen and Alan Ball wrote the script for us. It was an amazing project right before he got Me Too'd. And I had a series of those situations and decided it was time to leave the business.
Wow. That is remarkable. That's incredible.
Yeah. I didn't have any aspirations for real estate.
So then how did that's all happening? You're having, I mean, both of those are really well-known things that blew up. How did it go from there for you to make this choice?
So my specialty in film was selling pitches. I would go into studios, into very cold rooms with executives who were paid to say no, and I would get them to say yes. And those are very challenging sales. And I spoke to some friends who are in real estate, not in LA, one in my college roommate in Miami, a friend in New York. They both said, just get your real estate license. Like you'd be good at it. And so I figured it can't be harder. There's no way it's harder. You're selling a necessity. People have to live somewhere. So I started studying. So I missed my flight back from Paris to LA. It was the last direct flight. This was right when the movie blew up. It was called Run Away With Me. And I had a choice, either get a hotel room or figure something else out. And I decided rather than rush back to LA to tell my business partner and our investors, the movie's not happening, we've lost the money, that I would go to Reykjavik, Iceland. So I went to Reykjavik, chilled out. I didn't really chill out. I was having an existential crisis, but I got really quiet and I decided that I never wanted to feel this way again. The anxiety was like off the charts. I felt totally out of control. And I wanted something that gave me some more stability, even if it was like a temporary thing. So I started studying, got my license quickly, and I got my license December 2019 on my birthday, actually.
Another hell of a time to jump in.
Totally. I figured if ever there were a time to jump in, entertainment shuts down like after Thanksgiving, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So now is the best time. So
similar in real estate as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go.
So yeah, I dove in and that's how I landed here.
So tell me about your journey of figuring out how to do this in so much as you get your real estate license, but everybody's doing it completely differently. There's 1,000 different systems you can use. There's coaches and people trying to sell you their way of doing it all day long. What was your process?
So I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't really know much at all. I had no experience. I had just read The Altman Close, Josh Altman's book.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought there were some, I'm not a huge fan of Josh Altman's, but I felt like there were some really useful tools in there. Everyone has their own style. He's doing quite well. So I gleaned some nuggets, and right when I got my license, I got a bunch of different letters from some brokerages, one of whom wet signed the letter, and it was Rodeo Realty. And so I met with I called the branch manager, and he said, come on in. He's a nice guy. He's like French, plays tennis. I play tennis.
You specifically, though, said they wet signed the letter. That was meaningful.
Yeah, that's the only reason I called them. I didn't call anybody else.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So I met with him, and he said, I actually got the letter like when I signed up to take the test. They must have gotten a list of people who,
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah. So I met with him. I was taking the test the next day, and he was like, "Hey, I think you do great. I would be open to giving you a great split and mentoring you." And so the next day I passed the test, called him up, came in, signed up. He said, "Listen, I'm going to spend 3 days a week, a couple hours a day, just mentoring you." And I said, "Wow, that sounds great. I need it." And he taught me contracts. He was a very experienced guy. His emotional intelligence wasn't great, but he was super proficient at the way the business works, transactional. And he was very generous with his time. So I said, like, how do I get leads? And he said, well, I have this lease listing. If you want to start showing it, you can like represent the lessee. And I said, sure, I had nothing going on. So I started showing that, leased it out pretty quickly. I met with the title officer. Rodeo owned a title company. And I said, who's doing the best in the company? I got a list of people and I called them and I said, hey, I'd love to see your open houses. Two of them were cool and said, yeah. So I started to get buyers off of open houses. One of the guys introduced me to a seller, a friend of a friend, and ended up getting a listing. And it just started to snowball like pretty quickly, actually, way faster than I thought. Yeah, my first listing, I intentionally priced it a little bit low. It was not it was like a $600,000 home.
Wait, in LA, there's a $600,000 home?
Not anymore. This is like 6 years ago. And I priced it like slightly below 600. It's my first like open house of my listing. And I get there 15 to 20 minutes early and there are 20 people waiting in front. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah. Wow.
this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just gotten somebody called in and like just submitted an offer. We hadn't accepted it, but it was above asking. And so I opened the door. People were coming in. I mean, it was like a feeding frenzy. I kind of couldn't believe it. And one couple came up and they said, we love the home. We're ready to pay full asking price right now. And I said, I just want to manage your expectations. We have an offer above, like significantly above ask right now. And the seller's reviewing it, and you're probably not going to get this house. So they were really disappointed. But then they called me that night and they said, you know what? Thank you for being honest with us. Would you help us get a house? And I said, sure. And then they said, our mother's looking to sell her house close by. Would you be interested in meeting with her?
So did this end up being your first buyer and first listing?
This was my first listing, my second buyer, but then it became my second listing as well. And then I got like two buyers and a listing off of it, and I sold the listing. So
it did start snowballing.
It really did. None of them were big deals, but I cut my teeth and I learned how to win bidding wars, and it was cool.
So this was only 7 years ago?
6.5 years ago.
6.5 years ago. That's like no time.
Fast.
So I want to get to the present day, but I just want to back up for a second because I think that I'm sure there's other ways that this really relates the entertainment world that you were doing and what you're doing now. But walk me through when you're walking in to pitch a script or a film project, knowing that on the other side of the table are people who just want to say no to you. How do you prepare for that? And how do you handle that to get a yes?
So being able to tell a great story is a very useful skill, regardless of industry, I would say. It's probably one of the top skills because whenever you're selling, there's an element of story in there. And like, in my opinion, the best salespeople aren't selling. They're kind of like guiding, I would say. And sometimes that is through sharing a story, painting a picture, creating a dream that the other person can kind of inhabit. So most of these pitches, it was myself and a writer. And this guy was really talented in a room, like extremely talented, very charismatic.
This guy writing all your listing comments now?
It's not a bad idea. His name's Matt Sorolnik. He wrote Rambo, and he's written a lot of things, but Rambo wasn't actually his best work. But what we would do is we would practice quite a bit. I would open the room up. So I would, set the tone, share the world we're about to jump into, introduce myself and the writer, especially if we didn't know the executives, maybe pose a couple questions to engage them. And then Matt would start telling the story, and I would kind of just jump in, and it was a bit of a tag team. But we really had fun doing it. And in my opinion, the best stories are discovered by the storyteller as he or she is saying them. So it's not like a pitch, it's kind of like a revelation. You're like, you're almost wrapped by your own story, just like enthralled. You're like, you know, you're just like genuinely so enthusiastic about it because you're not just telling a story, you're like reliving it in a way. And so we would go in there. Sometimes there was source material. Sometimes it was a true story. Sometimes there was a book. Sometimes it was totally original. And those are the toughest to sell.
So the toughest to sell is when it's not derivative of something else.
Exactly. Those are the toughest. Just because executives don't want to risk their job on something that they can't like lean back on. If there's nothing there, if they buy 3 original pitches, none of which get made, when it's time for their review, they might be a little nervous.
I get it.
Yeah, we would go in there, we'd have a great time doing it. And we had a great track record. I mean, a really, really, really solid track record.
For any of us who are walking into a listing appointment.
Yep.
And the seller is meeting 5 other agents. Everybody's amazing. Okay, all 5, super well known, super amazing. And they're they're just tired of meeting with so many people. And they're also ready to say no to everybody. What do you do?
I don't really think about my competition. I don't comment on my competition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, it's all about rapport. If somebody likes you and is comfortable with you and then, trusts you and knows you're competent, I think you have a really good shot. So I want to connect with the seller first and foremost. Ideally, maybe get them laughing, get them like thoroughly engaged, ask them I interview them. So I'm asking them a ton of questions. This isn't a one-way interview. I also don't, I don't need your listing. And also I don't want to, unless I want to speak to you, I don't want to work with you. So I'll ask a lot of questions to figure out, especially if I don't know the person. What kind of a person am I dealing with? Is this a rational person? Is this someone I want to be my business partner? The answer is no. If the answer is no, but it's a high price listing, I might still jump on board. If the answer is no and it's just a normal home, I'm not interested. I'm just not. I'd rather like keep that space for something else that's more aligned. So I'll go in there, I'll have them tour the home for me. I'll ask them a bunch of questions about like their life, the reason they're selling, if there's a deadline, what's going on. So I get a full clear picture. What I'll do prior, the day before, I have my assistant drop off a really nicely bound, it's not a listing presentation, it's more of like a marketing piece. It's like a deck. It's like a knee. So they've already done their research on
And this is like a binder kind of thing, or a bound book, or what is this?
It's a bound book that's inside a custom like metallic enclosed box.
Interesting.
So like with my logo emblazoned on the front. So it's like, it's an impressive looking piece. They'll open it, they'll read it, who knows what they'll do after. They might, who knows what they do after that. But at that point, they've done enough research to kind of know who I am.
So by the time you show up there in person for the right, if it's the right match, they're already kind of sold on you.
Yeah.
And then it's just about you guys learning about each other. And it's not as much, you don't have to tell them who you are.
Exactly. I should be like 90% there by the time I open the front door. And then it's mine to win.
I love that. That's such a great idea.
It's very effective. I highly recommend it. The personal hand delivery by somebody else other than me is really nice. And also,
And then they're not expecting it, right? It's just they get a knock at the door.
yeah, it's like a knock at the door. I mean, I have
Yeah.
a friend who's a client who told me we were friendly before we started working together, and he told me, he was like, Adam, that was a real flex. He's like, I did not expect that. you know. So yeah, it's the little things, small touches.
That's great. That's amazing. So we got to talk about Fiji because,
Yes.
you know, I like to talk about people, obviously this is the Own It podcast, right? And I like to talk about, what I mean by that in a big way is people owning their life. Like something comes along, an opportunity, an idea, and the average human would say that's impossible, or no, I can't do that, and have all these really, really convincing reasons why they can't do it. And I was thinking for myself, I like to think that I do go for those things. But after learning about your Fiji listing, if somebody came to me and said, I need you to list an island in Fiji for me, I would reflexively be like, oh, I'll go find you someone in Fiji to do that. Like, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to know how that happened, how you do it. Like, what does somebody do when they have a place for sale like that?
I'll start out by telling you how it happened. So a friend of mine produces Love Island, which is shot in Fiji, and she's a good friend. And a couple years ago, I met she. I was at my favorite restaurant in Topanga. She rolled up unannounced with her friend Shauna, who I met. We had a great time. We just hung out. It was like impromptu dinner. And then like a week later, she's like, "Oh, that's my friend who owns this island in Fiji," and she shared the island with me. And I was like, "Wow, this island is insane! It's like 75 acres, new construction, like pristine paradise. Wow!" And at the time, I had been approached by a French agent a couple years ago to sell a 4-acre island in French Polynesia, also for originally he wanted more than 10 million bucks, but in a similar price range. And that was an interesting situation because it was like the seller got permits to build with the understanding that he wasn't looking to sell. So it like had to be like an off market situation. It was super duper tricky. I got kind of close with one buyer. We ended up not selling. And so, but I had a little experience with islands because of it.
All of a sudden, you have a niche out of nowhere
Yeah,
for
out of
foreign
nowhere.
islands.
And so, actually, so a year later, Shauna reached out and said, "Listen, um, we're planning on selling our island, and you come highly recommended. Do you have anyone who might be interested?" And so I said, I might maybe have this one couple who goes to, Polynesia all the time. They live in the Bay. I reached out. The answer was no. So I said, no.
I would have loved to have been on that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you'd like to buy a 75-acre island in Fiji. Just we're going.
So, months and months pass, and about 3 months ago, I really badly sprained my ankle. I thought I broke it. Ironically, putting open house signs up, I slipped really hard on a curb while running, and the next morning, I'm doing breath work and meditation. I can't hike. I usually hike most mornings. And so I'm like, okay, I can't hike. Let me dive really deep into this quantum meditation that I'm doing. And so my intention for the meditation, I am selling a $10 million property. And so I dive really deep into the feeling. There are no visuals, actually. It's just how wonderful it feels to sell a $10 million property. And I'm really having a great time with it. I get out of my meditation, open my phone, and at 10 a.m., I got a message from Shauna. And I haven't talked to her in like 6 months, maybe more. And she said, "Hey, Adam, I just got out of a meditation, and I wanted to let you know that we are finally ready to list our island. And I wanted to reach out and see if you might be interested. Please let me know if this feels like it's in alignment for you. And I said, Shauna, that's ironic because I too just got out of a meditation. Oh, and she's like, and by the way, I'm looking for $9.5 to $10 million. So I said, Shauna, I just got out of a meditation. You're not going to believe it, blah, blah, blah. We have coffee at Soho Malibu maybe 5 days later, and I lead her through a breath work and meditation. And a week later, she introduces me to her husband, and we shake on it. And I say, listen, I'm based here in LA, but I'd like to build a team around you. If you had just a local agent in Fiji, you might find your buyer for sure. But I suspect there's a good chance this is an international buyer that's not local. I would say more likely than not. So what I'd like to do, so what I did is Compass owns Sotheby's now. And so I was introduced to, I'm trying to think, was I introduced or I just reached out? No, I was introduced to the president of Sotheby's Fiji and met with him, introduced him to the owners, blah, blah, blah. And we partnered up. We listed it like a week or so ago.
So you were able to deal with all the contracts and whatever the specifics of Fiji are because you were connected to the president of Sotheby's Fiji.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
So the license was necessary.
Yeah.
Then amazingly enough, it's funny, the listing I'm sitting at right now, a really talented director shot a couple really short films, like vignettes, I'd say, in here as part of the listing materials. And he reached out and he was like, hey, I see you're listing this island. Is anyone shooting it for you? And I said, nobody's shooting it for me yet. I'm planning on going out there in a few weeks. We do have some pretty good drone shots. And he's like, I'm just going to stop you right there. I would love to shoot, I would love to put together an entire content package for you. Cinematic drone, lifestyle reel, full on commercial, aerial twilight photography, the entire thing. I would be willing to fly myself out there on my own dime, to fly out my videographer and assistant director and put this together for you. And
he just wanted to write off a vacation to Fiji. Let's be real.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I get it. That's good.
Yep. So we're going there in 10 days, and we're going to spend about 3 days just doing some incredible content and, making the island come alive. And then we'll finally have marketing materials that we can really get behind. Right now, the Rob Report, I don't know if you saw the Rob Report article. They did an article on the island.
No, and as a matter of fact, I want to make sure anyone listening can find this if they want to see it. So
I'll send you links.
How do people find this?
They can find the island or find the
I don't mean literally find it. I just mean online.
The island's called Vawa, VAWA, Vawa Island. It's the northernmost in the Yasawa archipelago. If they want to read the Rob Report article, other than me sending you the link, they could Google cannabis mogul, 75-acre Vawa Island. Yeah, and I can share a bunch of other materials with you.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So now, once we have all the materials, then it's time to roll up our sleeves and actually do the marketing. The photos that we have now, the drone photos are cool, but the photos of the interior and exterior of the home were shot on an iPhone by the owners. So they're not. Yeah. So, I plan on doing a robust digital marketing campaign. A lot of direct outreach, but also a lot of geofencing. A lot of I'll do. There's a company called Lead Gen Labs that allows us to do hyper targeted digital campaigns where we can draw a digital fence around certain businesses. Anyone who enters that business gets a cookie on their phone and they get fed most likely are ads when I open Chrome or Safari.
It's called, what's the company? Say the company again that does this.
Lead Gen Labs.
Okay, Lead Gen Labs.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll check that out.
Yeah, so we're going to do geofencing around a bunch of private airports in the area. I pitched, you saw, I pitched it on Realm, so I'm doing direct outreach to a bunch of high-profile agents in Asia and Australia. A lot of wealth manager conversations, business manager conversations, some advertising as well, and we're going to roll it out piece by piece, and press, of course.
Let's talk about Realm. You brought it up. I think a lot of people still don't know what that is. It's actually how we were connected because we're both members of Realm. How did you find out about it? Why did you join it? Like, I mean, one of the things, I've been there for 4 or 5 years, and I have known of a couple agents who are stateside who, like one in particular, who also sells property in Italy. And, just fascinating that, so you're in good company, but I want to know how you ended up at Realm.
So I was using chat to kind of like reverse engineer where to find affluent international buyers, like on what sites do they top 10 sites they frequent, and Realm came up like in the top 5. Interesting.
Oh, really? That's fantastic.
So I looked into it, and right around that time, somebody from Realm actually like reached out, like unrelated at all, and they were like, "Hey, we'd love to talk to you about membership." And so I talked to them about membership. I was like, "It seems interesting." Yeah, and then there was an event at the Compass annual retreat last year.
Mm-hmm.
I went there, met the owners, and I was like, you know what? This seems pretty great. I'm going to join. Yeah, so I'm a year and change in. Met some great people. Glad we met.
Cool. Me too. See you in Austin.
See you in Austin.
So I'm assuming, like, I know you work with a lot of A-listers and people in entertainment. I imagine some portion of that must need a certain level of discretion and be off market. Is that accurate?
I'd say, like, yes. Like definitely, I do sign NDAs. On the listing side, oftentimes I would prefer, I mean, it's better for press when you can be like, hey, this is so and so's house.
Sure.
It also might add some perceived value to the home. It's a good conversation piece. So it depends. Like sometimes clients will allow me to publicize, sometimes they will not. On the buy side, I just try to like clear homes and make sure as few, if any, people are in them, so we have privacy and we can just kind of walk around without oversight. Ideally, oftentimes I'm dealing with the business manager most.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's like I've got limited contact with the buyer, and they're not making all the decisions anyway.
Yeah. So, and I know Compass obviously was sort of leading the charge for these off-market private listings. How has that, I'm very curious about that. There's very little of that where I am. How do you feel that affects a sale or exposure? Or do you feel like it's beneficial? It's not beneficial? It's neither? It depends on the case-by-case basis. What's your feeling about it?
I think it depends case by case. I mean, it's much harder to sell a home that's off market because you've got way fewer eyes on it. So, if I'm a seller and I'm looking to get the most in the shortest amount of time, I would want to put it on the market for sure. Sometimes I'll do like an artificial ticking clock where I'm like, okay, this is off market, but I'll let people know, hey, this is off market for 2 weeks. If you want it without competition, make an offer. I would say, I mean, I've done a bunch of off market deals, and like it is cool if I've got someone looking for something specific that's not on the market. It can be very, very helpful. And also the client is like super appreciative. It's a privilege to, be one of the few to be able to tour. So I definitely see some benefits it's also a good way to test a price. Like I'd rather test a price off market without any days accruing and then realize like, oh shit, this is the wrong price.
Right, totally. Especially when you have a seller who thinks they have the greatest house to ever be built.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have an off-market listing, how do you make sure it gets to the right people to, for people to know it's there?
I feel like at a certain level, most buyers are represented, like at a certain price point. So it's usually like you sell the agent first and then you sell the buyer. So I've got my lists of like the top agents in all of these neighborhoods, and I'll do direct outreach, or I'll have my assistant do direct outreach. And it's
Yeah.
like, hey, I wanted to introduce you to this off-market property. It's amazing.
And they're thrilled probably to get that phone call because then they get to be a hero by going
Yeah,
to their person and saying, yeah.
usually, or maybe they're a dick. Who knows?
I mean, who knows? Adam, I want to get into the spiritual aspect of this. You've talked about breath work. You've talked about quantum meditation. First of all, I'm wondering that thing that happened to you with Fiji, where the client then called and said, I was in a meditation and et cetera, et cetera. Do you find that happening more than just that one experience, that kind of thing?
I do. Yeah, definitely. It's a fun game. I notice little, serendipitous events or like miraculous invitations that kind of come out of nowhere. And I'm noticing more of them, which is nice. Yeah, one thing that I do is I work on elevating my frequency to attract the most aligned people in my life.
So what does that mean? Like, if somebody's listening to this and has never done any of this and they want to dip their toe in,
I would say I would suggest they start doing breath work. Could be Wim Hof. There's a teacher who I studied with for a long time, Johann Herb. Um, Pyramid breath. I'd recommend doing pyramid breath to calm the mind and bring your energy into your body. And then I would start simple in terms of meditation and do like a Joe Dispenza morning meditation where there's like an induction. It's almost like hypnotic where you are guided into the space and then you can start to create the life that you want to create using visualization and your emotions. There's a podcast To Be Magnetic, Lacey Phillips. She has a place here in Topanga as well. And she teaches similar techniques of manifestation. Yeah, I would say if they try any one of those things, they're on the right track.
that's great. I love it. Do you miss the film world at all?
I mean, in short, not really. I do miss having like creative conversations with writers and crafting story, but there's so much that I don't miss about it. There's so much. I mean, it was a very toxic landscape, and it's just
Oh, I know. Just from the two people you mentioned,
yeah,
well aware.
yeah, yeah. So thrilled to not be in that anymore.
And what do you hope? Or maybe I won't say hope. What are you manifesting next? What's happening for the future?
I'm building a team. I just about a month ago hired a chief of staff she's incredible. She was VP at the agency for agent experience. So she was essentially hiring, recruiting, training agents and building teams. So we're about a month in. She's great. Got a new agent joining this week who I'm super excited about and kind of creating.
What about right now? Do you have what's your team look like now?
Small team. It's myself, an operations person, a chief of staff, and a TC.
Okay, and so you're bringing on more agents now.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bringing on more agents. I'm excited about scaling. I'm excited about getting into development. I've helped clients develop, but I've never developed for myself. Looking forward to getting deeper and deeper into luxury. And I've got some really big listings on the horizon that I'm super psyched.
You're allowed to give us a teaser or no?
I mean, there are two of them. One of them's a project, like a $20 million, maybe 23 million on a good day, a spec build in Beverly Hills, just behind Beverly Hills Hotel. Large, big lot, really nice finishes. It's at least 6 months out. Then there's another one in Brentwood that's also around the 20 million level. Beautiful traditional home, pool, large backyard, great family home. Like both of these, I'm excited about the content that we can create. I like to create like 2 minute kind of short films in a home that showcase the lifestyle, not just the features, but how it feels to live inside this place.
So give me an example of how you would do that.
Well, this house that I'm in right now, I did a
Yeah.
few pieces. So it might be narrated. There are actors or models who are in the home doing things, washing dishes, jumping into a bath, swimming in a pool, making a meal. The light changes throughout the day, and you're, telling a really short story about how. I mean, I'll send you a couple links.
Yeah, love that. I mean, you're also in a place where you have some of the top talent for all of this stuff.
Totally.
So you're
Yeah.
really leveraging that. It's amazing.
And most of
Love to
them
see
aren't
it.
working right now.
Most of them are not working right now, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why is that?
I mean, not a lot is being shot in LA.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Another good reason you got into real estate.
Exactly. Amazing. It's funny. So right before I got into are you familiar with the Akashic record or an Akashic reading?
Tell me about it.
So it is a school of thought that you can gain sort of an omniscient perspective by accessing these Akashic records. And there's a way in. I actually did a training. There's a way to access the records and then see potential futures. And so, like, I sat down with a very accomplished reader and I was like, should I get out of entertainment and should I devote myself to real estate? And she said, yes, absolutely. She said, treat it like a game. You're going to win the game. She's like, you need to get out of entertainment. The entertainment industry is actually going to shut down. Then she was like, there are going to be riots on the streets of LA. LA is not going to be a safe place. She was like, there's going to be a health scare. This was in like November, end of November of 2019. In January, she decided to get a house out of LA and move. And then COVID hit. Then the Black Lives Matter riots. Then the entertainment industry shut down. Everything that she said came true. And I was thinking, what are the odds? Like the entertainment industry shutting down? I was like, that's never happened.
Very cool.
Yeah. I don't know how I got on that tangent, but
keep finding tangents. Totally good. Well, now you're in a place with a lot of luxury. Do you have any thoughts for maybe somebody, anyone listening who is sort of maybe even quite successful, but sort of at the median price of wherever they're at, of ways to start to elevate and break into luxury?
Yes. I mean, a few things. Like practically, if they could sit open houses for a luxury agent and start to meet potential luxury buyers, boom. I would say more than that. I love to socialize. I started playing padel recently, which is kind of like pickleball meets tennis.
I've never heard that. This will be the first time I've ever heard of that, which is awesome because I'm sure this is the next huge thing. And I'll know that Adam Brawer is the one who introduced me to this. Padel, you said?
Padel. It's spelled.
So how is it different than pickleball?
So it's an AstroTurf course. It's not like it's basically like an AstroTurf court. There's plexiglass, so you can hit off the glass. The paddles are different. Ball is a specialized tennis ball for padel with the air in it. You have to be much more athletic. It's like more strategies involved, less dinking.
Yeah, because you can be like in quite an advanced age and play pickleball.
Yes.
And then tennis is obviously extremely athletic. So this is somewhere in the middle. Maybe you don't want it to be as chill as pickleball, but not as wild as tennis. So it's somewhere in the middle.
It's somewhere in the middle. And I'd say like I've had some bad injuries playing tennis. I it's a softer court. Like you're not gonna, break your ankle. I don't think.
So you love to socialize.
So I would say, like, if someone wants to get into luxury, they need to socialize with high net worth people.
Yeah.
And so they should figure out ways to do things that they love where high net worth people are. Could be joining a members club, could be joining a padel club, could be joining a golf club or a tennis club.
So Adam, how do you find time for everything? Like, how do you structure your day? You're this busy, successful agent in LA, and how often are you doing this? Like, how do you do it?
I delegate a lot, which is super helpful. I'm on the go every single day. I'd say I socialize. I mean, today I'm hanging out with a client. Tonight I'm hanging out with a client. I've got a client dinner tomorrow. Wednesday, I've got another dinner. I do dinners and lunches. If I'm doing, like, when I go to the gym, I joined a new gym recently. I run into a ton of friends and clients. And so for me, the metric is number of conversations had, meaningful conversations had.
In a day, or in like do you have like a
Per day. And it's either like directly with a buyer or seller, potential buyer or seller, or someone who can refer you to buyers or sellers. And so I would recommend get an expensive gym membership.
and the conversations aren't necessarily about real estate, right?
They're not.
They're not. It's just you're interacting. Now you're front of mind. They're thinking about you. Their friend says, "I want to buy or sell a house," or whatever it is, and they're like, "Oh, I just ran into Adam today."
100%.
Yeah,
it's like two birds, one stone. You're working out, you're prospecting. it's it's great. So and then also when I'm socializing, like I'm trying to like stack. So I'm getting my workouts in and socializing at the same time, or like dinner and socializing.
yeah.
And it's about prioritizing what's meaningful. And for me, it's like I don't door knock or cold call or do anything like that. But I love, playing racket sports, and I love hiking, and I love meditation, and I love lifting. So I'll do all those things and, reap the rewards.
That's great. I got a couple more questions if you're all right.
Let's go.
So I'm wondering, like, a couple things I'm wondering. One is you're dealing with so many people who, and I know that you're dealing often with business managers, and not the principal themselves, but these are people who have to very carefully and consciously curate their brand, their image.
Mm-hmm.
Have you learned anything from watching how these celebrities do it for how you integrate curating your own brand or image?
I'd say for me, it's more about like leaning into what's authentically me and not, not like putting on a bunch of flair and like, for me, it's like when I first got into the game, I was wearing suits and like nice shoes. I was pretty uncomfortable, to be honest. And the more myself I realized, the more comfortably I dressed within reason, the better I did, the more comfortable people felt around me. So it's like I like custom hats. So I have a bunch of custom hats. I wear custom hats. They become conversation pieces. People ask me about them.
Oh man, I wish you had some of the hats with you. I know you're on the list. I want to see what those are.
Yeah, I've got some very cool ones. Yeah, so it's like I love fashion too. It's a way to express. I'm very dressed down today. It's a super chill summer day, but I have a lot of custom suits, and like I'm big into watches, and I'm big into shoes. I love curating outfits. Yeah, I don't know if I've like taken tidbits from celebrities necessarily, but I just know that the more me I am, the better I do.
And that might be the opposite from celebrities, actually.
Yeah.
That's what you learn. The exact opposite. You're like, yeah, no, the more on myself, the more I lean into myself. I have a similar story where at a certain point I was like, man, because I'm here in Portland, Oregon. It's like, the joke is like black tie is if you show up in pajamas.
Nice.
It's not really true, but it's almost true. I'm originally from the East Coast, and I was like, man, I just want to do something more elevated. I started wearing suits. I get this call on a listing, It's like, I don't know, 1.5 million or something. I show up and like, perfect. I show up in my suit. I knock on the door, and the door opens, and there's wealthy hippies in tie-dye answering the door.
Yeah.
I knew instantly I just lost this listing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to wear this suit. Like, what am I doing? And then so I had the same conclusion, which was, okay, I'm never doing that again. I'm going to be
Mhm.
me. I'm going to
Yeah.
be comfortable. I'm going to exude that energy
Yeah.
of being comfortable. And that's it. I've never worn a suit again.
I like it. Another thing that, in terms of like style or brand, I leaned into my own practices. So I burn sage every day. I smudge myself every day, and so I gift my clients my own brand of sage, and I trademarked the phrase from staged to saged, and so yeah, I was just like, everything that I do, that I'm going to introduce to my clients, especially if they're open to it, because it differentiates me.
Yeah. So you're almost, it's like you're radically yourself.
Radically, unapologetically, shameless.
Just, yes. And it sounds like if somebody didn't like that or it turned them off, you don't want them anyway.
Exactly. This is an alignment case study. And it's like, is this mutual or not?
That's very inspirational. I very cool. Like
Thank
hearing
you.
that. I've got one last question, and it's really about communication. You've got this history of talking to really difficult studio executives. Now, I mean, you probably, as a total assumption, you're probably attracting people who you communicate well with. But like, how do you handle it? Like with communication, like we're all in this situation where we're often advising sellers who disagree with what we're saying, who disagree with us, whether that's like, it's very commonly priced, but it might be something about presentation in their home. They think it's spectacular. This is actually going to chase buyers away.
Yep.
You communicate through storytelling, all this stuff, but how do you deal with that in that situation?
Like, specifically, if somebody's like, hey, this dog art on the wall is amazing and buyers are going to love it, if I don't agree with that. Something
Yeah,
like that.
especially maybe look, you're dealing with someone with a tremendously huge ego,
Yep.
and you have to either make them understand the price is wrong or that dog art or whatever it is.
I'll give you an answer for both. So if
Okay.
it's dog art, I'll tell a seller, listen, a buyer is not buying your house. They're buying their house. And so what we want to do is mirror all of the things that most buyers are looking for. We want a blank neutral canvas where they can project their lifestyle on it, see it, and fall in love with it. And oftentimes that means no dog art. So in terms of what buyers are looking for, they're looking for generally like light, bright, neutral colors, not too cluttered. It usually involves a stage, often a sage, whether or not they know it. We want the energy of the home to be inviting. Also, it's not either of our opinions. It's not like my opinion or your opinion. I'm just going to share, the opinion of the market. And this is what the market is saying. And if you're willing to take a major risk and lose money because the dog art is super valuable to you, we can talk about that.
Well, what I love about that is you're saying, hey, I support your decision. If
Yeah.
you want to leave the velvet dogs playing poker, that's totally, I support you. And wow, I'm really impressed at the giant risk you want to take financially. And then they're like, oh, okay. Wait, what?
Or it's like, hey, why don't we test this off market? Like, if they really, really push back, it's like, why don't we test this off market for a couple of weeks and just see what the reaction is?
And then you just share it unfiltered, and it's everyone else telling them how horrible their taste is, not you.
Exactly.
That's
Precisely.
great.
If it's price, I'll sit down and share like a scattergram, a graph of the most relevant comps, with the, square footage and price, and then like a line of value. So it's like, okay, cool, like 2,500 square feet, you know, $3 million. Like that's kind of, so here's the line of value. Here are the comp sales. Where in this graph do you think your home sits? And if it's like a 2,500 square foot home and they're like, well, it's like $4 million, you know, the market's saying it's worth 3, like out of curiosity, where are you getting this $4 million number from? Like, are there other comps that I should be aware of? Or is there anything specific about this house that raises its value about $1 million?
And
Because
they
I
say, yeah, one day a year, light comes through this one window, and that's another 100 grand.
if they like maintain that the house is worth $1 million more than it is, then it's not a listing I'm interested in.
Ah,
Yeah.
what I love, what I'm hearing a lot of from you, you know, we always hear that success is paved with no's, not yeses. It's something I've always personally struggled with, is saying no, especially if business is slow, and then all this, you know, something pops up, you meet with them, your gut says, this is going to be not enjoyable.
Yeah.
But you say yes anyway, because you're like, well, I don't have much else going on.
Yep.
What I'm hearing from you is, you're saying no with a lot of faith, knowing, hey, I'm leaving that space open because good things are going to come fill it. And if I fill it up, it's not.
Exactly. Yep. I did that today with a new buyer or an escrow or like negotiating, you know, inspections, negotiating more. And then, you know, it's a developer buyer who's like kind of unethical. And they're like, yeah, you know, we really need like 100 grand off, another 100 grand off to remove contingencies. And we'd gotten like 70 grand already off on a home that's like under $1 million. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be frank with you. This is very unprofessional. And this is not the way that I do business. If you're not interested in the already negotiated deal, which is in your DocuSign, if you're good with that, great. But if you're not, I think this is the end of the road. And that was it. And then I called the listing agent and I was like, hey, this is a new buyer relationship and it's ending now. And unfortunately, we're going to have to cancel. And they were cool with it. It is what it is. But I'd rather not like try to squeeze. It's not worth it. My reputation is more important than this deal.
Absolutely. And then also with the time that you were going to spend with them, you could be playing Padel and meeting somebody else.
Boom. Exactly.
Right?
The moral of the story is I need to play more Padel.
Yeah. Well, did I say it right? What is it?
Padel.
Okay. All right.
You got it.
Okay. I'm gonna check this out, or I'm gonna be the one to bring it to Portland, Oregon. So
boom. I like that.
This has been amazing, man. Thank you so much for joining me. And I want everyone to know how to find you. So maybe if you want to talk about the markets you work in, and give everybody your Instagram handle or anything you want.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Instagram handle is at Adam Brawer, AdamBrawer, AdamBrowerEstates.com. I work predominantly on the west side of LA, Malibu down to the marina. I've got a listing in Beverly Hills right now. I do Pasadena. I do a pretty wide swath, but mostly on the west side.
And Fiji.
Yeah, I mean, I do some international deals as well with international partners. But if you're looking for a place in LA, you know, whether it's investment property, primary residence, development property, would love to help.
Wonderful. I look forward to seeing you in Austin, if not before, maybe in LA.
I'd love that. Let me know when you come.
I will. Thanks, man. Great to talk.
Pleasure.
If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who would find value in it. For more conversations on leadership, business, real estate, and building what's next, follow along and connect with us online. Until next time, keep raising your standards and keep owning your next chapter.